The board, at its meeting held earlier today, has approved the Q1 FY22 results. The detailed results are uploaded on the stock exchanges and are already in public domain, so I won't dwell upon them further. It's my privilege now to share some thoughts with all of you as we prepare to march towards our centenary. I've always believed that pictures speak louder than words, so I am going to do this in a form of a presentation. When I addressed you virtually last year, I thought that was a one-time aberration and I would have the pleasure of meeting you all in person this year. But the course of the pandemic has turned out to be beyond anyone's powers of prediction. So here we are, a full 12 months later, once again, meeting virtually. We've lived for more than a year through an unprecedented global pandemic, and it's brought horror and devastation. But it's also taught me something I had never realized before. It's taught me that our world is full of heroes. Not all heroes appear in swirling capes. Some of them wear masks and carry stethoscopes and man the front lines. Some of them wield a mop and a broom as a sword against disease. Some of them lead the battle in places where you and I would not go. Some of them risk their lives to keep our world turning. Each and every one of these people is a hero, and so many of them have given their tomorrows for our today. I salute them with a grateful heart. We have our own homegrown heroes within the Mahindra Group as well. People who stayed away from their families to help with the COVID effort. People who turned company premises into COVID quarantine centers. People who created mental health apps. People who dipped into their own pockets to support daily workers, not only of the company, but also of vendors and distributors. People who organized and delivered oxygen. People who kept the factories running at the height of the pandemic. To them, I say thank you. Thank you for upholding the Mahindra tradition of putting the nation and the communities first. Another tradition we have upheld is the Mahindra tradition of our people being our priority. Throughout this dark time, our declared principle has been to put people first, to serve and support our colleagues in every way. And that's why I'm very gratified that in this horrendous year, when people were most anxious and insecure about their jobs, M&M moved up from the 20th to the 2nd place in the list of great places to work. I could not have asked for better proof of our commitment to our people and to making M&M an employer of choice. I'm gratified, but frankly, not surprised. Caring for the country, caring for people is part of our DNA. We are celebrating the close of our 75th year. And for a company to last 75 years is not a small achievement. Of the companies on the Global Fortune 500 list in 1955, only 53, which means fewer than 11%, still remain. Of the 30 companies listed on the Bombay Stock Exchange in 1986, only 7 remain. And I'm proud to say that Mahindra is one of these magnificent 7. So what accounts for this longevity? I think the answer lies in our history. 3/4 of a century ago, 2 brothers founded a new company, which was forged in the fires of independence and dedicated to the proposition that there was profit in serving a larger purpose. Ever since then, the Mahindra Group has consciously chosen to go into businesses that serve a greater goal. Our foray into Jeeps in the 40s was inspired by the harsh reality that India in 1947 hardly had any paved roads. We entered agriculture in the 60s because it was integral to the 5-year plan, and the Green Revolution was around the corner. We switched to diesel engines in the 70s because the country and the world were facing a petrol crisis. And in the 80s, we jumped into information technology because we could see that India had the potential to become a world player. In the 90s, we seriously diversified into rural finance, real estate, and hospitality because it was becoming clear that services were the future of India's economy. In the first decade of the 21st century, as India rose on the world stage, we challenged ourselves to prove the truth of our core purpose at that time, which was that Indians are second to none. And then the Scorpio was born. And in the second decade, as our country and the world began to comprehend the depredations of climate change and environmental degradation, we realized that our company had a much larger role to play, and our core purpose was re-articulated into one word: rise. In line with this purpose, our strategy is driven by the conviction that there is only one mantra to build a sustainable business and a sustainable world, and that is ESG: environment, social, and governance. ESG today is the compass that guides us. The common theme that emerges from everything that I've described is that as a business group, we aligned ourselves to the needs of the nation and increasingly of the world in every era. This has been so since our founding 75 years ago. The first advertisement for Mahindra and Mohammed, published in the Times of India dated 8 November 1945, expressly states, "Mahindra and Mohammed, though a business firm, are imbued with a national purpose and a new outlook. Our history is a testament to the power of purpose." And our founders were right. In my 40-odd years of experience, I've always found that it's not profits or the next promotion that motivates people in the long term. People come to work with a glad heart and give of themselves 100% when they feel they're working for a larger cause and are making a difference. And that same power of purpose drives us 75 years later. As I said earlier, our core purpose today is very simple. One word. It's simply to rise, to drive positive change in the lives of our communities, to help them to rise. Adherence to our purpose will drive our success. It will influence the businesses that we choose to go into. It will dictate the way we run our businesses. It will determine the kind of people we hire and nurture to succeed, and it will guide us in zeroing in on the areas where we drive positive change for the wider community. Why is the power of purpose so important for business success today? I think the lessons of the pandemic have brought out the reasons all too clearly. Firstly, the pandemic has taught us how we are all interrelated, how there can be no safety for one until there is safety for all. It also taught us that our welfare depends on the welfare of the poorest of the poor. The ones we missed during these dark times were those who kept the wheels of our lives turning: the garbage collector, the sweeper, the delivery boy. They are the scaffold on which our welfare rests, and we neglect them at our peril. So there is alignment between our self-interest and caring for others. The second lesson of the pandemic is how much our lifestyle degrades the environment. Within a few days of the lockdown, grey skies turned blue, the air became breathable, and we heard birdsong once again. If we are to enjoy the beauty of the world and remain healthy, we must not forget this lesson. And the third lesson is a psychological one. The pandemic has brought home to us that the future is uncertain and that life is fragile. Many people have coped with the crisis by living in the moment. But as the crisis recedes, people will start living for the moment. That means valuing experiences and gratifying long-held desires. The experience could be the joy of buying a new car to drive into the country, or making time to enjoy a weekend by the ocean with the family, or finally taking that long postponed safari in Africa. There will be an explosion of the experience economy, and we must care for people and planet to create safe and healthy experiences. The future of business lies in serving this economy. For all these reasons, linking business to a larger purpose of caring for people and the planet so as to positively impact their lives will be the magic mantra for business success. I would go so far as to say, people plus planet equals profits. To do good for the wider community, we first have to do well ourselves. This means going into businesses that are in alignment with our core purpose and then running them profitably and in a way that drives positive change. So let me share our business strategy with you. We have segmented our businesses into core businesses, growth gems, and new age businesses. Each segment will be nurtured differently. Our core businesses, which today are the pillars of our profitability, will continue to grow sustainably. The growth gems are our, let us say, Navratnas, or businesses of the future that are based on sustainability and will add substantially to our profitability in the years to come. Each one is a potential unicorn, which we believe will be valued at $1 billion or more, enabling us to serve people, planet, and profits. And the third segment, the new age businesses, is where we will partner with entrepreneurs in creating sustainable ecosystems by becoming a strategic investor. This will combine the advantages of the resources of a large corporation with the agility and innovation of a startup. In the course of running these businesses, we will delight our customers, nurture our people to uphold our values, and become the best that they can be, and drive positive change in the areas of environment, society, and good governance. If I look ahead to our 100th birthday, 25 years from now, I am confident that the company will have grown substantially. But profits, revenues, free cash flow, ROI, these are numbers. They don't convey the shared value a company must generate. To me, the true value of a company lies in the multiplier effect it creates. It's wonderful that our businesses have grown. It's wonderful that our profits have grown. But have those profits created a multiplier effect for others? Has that growth made the world we live in a better place? To me, what's important is not the number, but the impact we make by achieving that number. It's not just how much we grow, but rather how we grow. What social value have we added? What wider impact have we made? Now, this isn't just altruistic thinking. It's good business. There is a quiet revolution taking place in the business world. Today, there is irresistible pressure from consumers on companies to create shared value. In other words, to do business in a way that enhances the quality of life of their communities and the world. Major global financiers now insist on evidence that companies have a strong focus on ESG before they disburse funds for growth. Stock markets are also beginning to prize companies that are purpose-driven. Social impact is becoming increasingly important to investors. And all of this is evidence that business can no longer live in a bubble, isolated from the rest of society. It's evidence that companies must see themselves as an intrinsic part of the fabric of society, and that social impact is becoming an increasingly important factor in valuing a company. The question, though, is, can social impact be measured? And the short answer is yes. There are complex and sophisticated new measures being evolved. As we speak, the Harvard Business School is leading an initiative to develop a framework to create an impact-weighted accounting framework, which will measure, in the financial reports of companies how much social impact they have generated and reflect a company's impact, positive or negative, on employees, customers, environment, and broader society. There is a G7 task force, of which I'm a member, that is also developing methodologies to measure impact. So frankly, there's a great deal of seminal work going on in this area. This is clearly going to be the way the value of a company is going to be measured in the future. As the previous quote said, the rules of the game have changed. I find it gratifying that the way the world views business is now aligning itself with the way your company has always viewed business. Social and environmental impact has been a driving force for us from the days of our first advertisement to our present-day philosophy of Rise. What remains is measuring that impact in a scientific way. On this momentous 75th anniversary, the Mahindra Group proudly commits that we will measure social impact as rigorously as we measure financial performance. We will compute our social impact, quantify it in financial terms, and target its increase. In short, we will evaluate ourselves both on financial performance and on the social impact we create. That will capture the true value that the Mahindra Group adds to people, profits, and planet. Now, we've already started working on this. While we are at a preliminary stage, our rough calculations highlight that the Mahindra Group has driven economic activity worth $42 billion in FY21. More importantly, your company has created social and environmental impact worth $4 billion in F21 alone. We have made 10 very specific commitments which will enable us to take pole position in the ESG space. Every one of these 10 commitments articulates a bold and measurable goal, such as carbon neutrality by 2040, 100% of our sites being zero waste to landfill certified. We've already planted 19 million trees under our Project Haryali and supported the education of almost 500,000 young Nanhi Kalis. It speaks of our belief in our goals that we have also already achieved water positivity as a group. We are well on our way to achieving other goals. We want to achieve much more than this by our 100th birthday. At our Senior Executives Conference in October this year, our senior-most colleagues will put their heads together to chart out a path to achieve a manifold and measurable increase in our social and environmental impact over the next 25 years. Our goal is to make the Mahindra Group a world leader in ESG. Ladies and gentlemen, the one thing that differentiates the Mahindra Group is that we have always aligned ourselves with wider goals. Historically with national goals and now with global goals on issues that touch us all, like the environment and climate change. The days when the business of business was only business are over. The pandemic in particular has highlighted that the world does need an integrated approach. Increasingly, we have to ask ourselves not what others, investors, shareholders, suppliers, colleagues, can do for us, but what we together can do for our communities and for the world. As we continue to measure social impact, we will increasingly be able to generate hard numbers to verify the good work we do, which means that by the time our 100th birthday rolls around, I know that we will be able to put our hands on our hearts and say, we in the Mahindra Group have helped the world to rise.